Welcome back to the channel where I'm on a quest to make 16 magical Minecraft Mapart machines. On today's adventure, we'll make a Maze Runner. Hey there, poster people. Today I'd like to show you my latest Mapart machine, a fully functional Maze Runner game in vanilla Minecraft that doesn't require special commands, mods, texture packs, or data packs. In this video, we'll go through every step of the process from planning to prototyping to playing. I'm an amateur at Redstone who was never certified to build. So, if I can make this, then you can too. Stick around until the end to see what I learned about Redstone in this episode. Let's dive into the plan. First, we need a maze generator to generate the patterns. And that's easy since I do not know anything about maze generator math or Redstone. I will find someone else's design to steal, borrow with full credit. Then we will connect this to the display cells. Easy enough. Next, we will make our own Maze Runner Redstone and hook that up to the display cells. Again, easy enough. The hard part will be connecting the Maze Generator Redstone to the Maze Runner Redstone so that we have wall detection. Meaning the runner cannot phase through walls as that would break the game. And finally, inputs to control it all, including a new maze button and a reset. That's essentially the entire starting concept, so we can start building. Starting with the maze generator, shout out to DCoreDC for making this design, and big thanks for making it public. This is a 32 by 32 design, which will fit perfectly on a 128 by 128 map using 4x4 display cells, since 128 divided by 4 is 32. Making the hallways and walls 4x4 pixels, and our runner will be a 2x2 dot. I also like the design of this maze generator specifically because it uses sticky pistons. We can just replace the blocks on top with soul sand to control our bubble columns. This is how we will send the signals vertically to the display cells. I manually checked and replaced all the blocks in the maze by making all permanent walls black. Blocks above sticky pistons were replaced with soul sand, with careful consideration if the block was pushed up or pulled down. Just like that, the first section of a redstone flow, the maze generator, is done. Now I am copying the top section of this maze generator and replacing blocks to make a color-coded map we can use for the display cells. The walls remain black, but the floors become cyan. The moving walls become brown. Then it's all flattened. This layout needs to be 4 times bigger, so we space the layers by 3 blocks vertically. I said move the layers 3 blocks vertically. I said 3 blocks vertically. There you go. Then I smear all the layers to fill in the space. Copy this process horizontally, and we have a 4:1 scale of the maze generator layout, which fills the 128 by 128 block area perfectly. We will use this map to lay out the display cells as we continue building. Back to the maze generator, I started installing the bubble columns, but got confused which ones needed to be activated or not. So I decided to use 2 colors, so I can set the activated lines manually without mistakes as we build. This is the first time I'm using copper bulbs in any redstone build. I've tried incorporating them into builds previously, but always remove them before the final version. This is where we bring that color-coded map and start to slope it. I use a slope schematic to help me get started, and then further separate all the layers. Now we can look at the map for the first time, and if we add a couple of blocks, we can see how the runner will look too. Moving on to the display logic, we will use this red circuit to activate the wall sections, which will connect to the waxed bulb output on the maze generator. It took me a couple of tries to get the spacing correct. Then we can add the orange circuit to control the runner in the display cells. This will be activated by a bubble column connected to the Maze Runner redstone below. And that's all of the display cell logic. Pretty simple and straightforward. Next, we grab a copy of this redstone and separate the orange circuit to be used in the cyan sections, so our runner can appear on the floors. With these two variants, I can copy the redstone to fill the entire map, putting the red-orange circuit behind the brown moving wall sections and the solo orange circuit behind the cyan floor sections. Nothing is needed behind the black sections since they are permanent walls that never switch or hold the runner. Starting with the bottom, let's work up the slope, setting the correct spacing and adding display cell logic one row at a time. All the orange bubble columns need to be extended down as the row is finished. Then all the red circuit wires need to be extended past the bubble columns. Here's how it looks from the front, and you can see all the blocks that make up the moving walls in runner pixels. That is all the display cells done. So we can mark that cell complete on the redstone flow. Next, we are going to connect this giant display to that little maze generator. With the maze generator in place, you can really see the massive scale of the display that is over 300 blocks tall. Now it is time to connect the maze outputs marked by the copper bulbs to the red display cell inputs sticking out behind the orange bubble columns. With the first row connected, we run into a little problem you may have already seen. The maze generator outputs are all on the bottom, but the inputs reach nearly to the top of build limit. But this is precisely why I use bubble columns. We can simply split the circuit and move everything up, then fill in the gaps with more bubble columns. We lose no time or add delay in the activation, since the whole column updates simultaneously. Just as a build tip, I replaced the activated copper bulbs with redstone blocks and the non-active copper bulbs, black wool, so that none of the observers would get triggered by accident during this part of the build process and mess up the maze pattern. For the next couple of days, it is just repeating this process over and over again until we get to the top. We can see the redstone working as parts of the map get updated when we connect the activated lines to the display cells. Now that the lines are laid out, we can replace the wool and redstone blocks back with copper bulbs to fully connect the maze generator to the display cells. The next part is to build the Maze Runner redstone, and it has to fit in this 6 to 10 block space. But first, there is one more circuit we need to add before we can start on the Maze Runner redstone, and that is the circuit that carries the red activation signals at each level of the display cells down to the bottom where the Maze Runner redstone will be located. The idea is that the activation signal will also be used to keep the runner from entering a wall section, therefore giving us wall detection. There is a technique that I have never used that relies on wall sections and observers. There is a couple of ways to configure it, but basically when the trapdoor is activated, it updates the wall section all the way to the bottom instantly, which can be detected by an observer. Similar to the bubble columns, we can extend the walls all the way to build limit, but they still update instantly. They ended up fitting perfectly on the display cell logic and only 2 blocks away from the runner redstone bubble column, meaning we can fit our Maze Runner redstone in 4x4 modules to match the display cells. With all those in place, we can activate the maze generator for the first time since converting it. Wow, that updates the map really fast. We can also watch the copper bulbs update down here as the red signal lines turn on and off. Now it's time to make the Maze Runner Redstone. And to be honest, besides knowing that it needs to interact with the orange bubble columns and read the state of the walls, I have no idea what to make. I guess the runner moves in 4 directions. So in Redstone, we need to move a piece of information, a redstone signal, in 4 directions. I have done that before in other Mapart machines using hoppers or minecarts, but here we're limited on space since we have to fit each runner redstone module within 4x4 by 10 blocks. Beginning to tackle this part of the redstone flow, I thought I could use locked hoppers in a stack with an item inserted on top. The hoppers face 4 directions, so the item would fall to one of 4 lines, travel, then get lifted up to drop into the next stack. But again, I ran into space constraints. Then I returned to something more familiar, minecarts. I've used minecarts in every single one of my Mapart machine builds so far, so why not use them again? A traditional flat minecart switch is too big to fit, so I started cooking a vertical layer design, but ran into space constraints again. I even thought about using water and armor stands, and played around with a couple of designs, only to return to using minecarts again, this time using a bubble column to transport the minecarts back to the top. After struggling for a while, I decided to end the stream and call it a night. That's right, most of this build process was streamed live on Twitch, Kick, and YouTube. If you want to catch the next one, join the Discord to know when I'm live, and watch these machines come together in real time. I spent the next few days thinking about how to fit redstone within the space constraints, and one question I asked was, can I build the logic elsewhere and transmit the signals underneath to the bubble columns? Then I thought, if we made a grid of crossing signals and had a selector for X and a selector for Y, then wherever the activated signals cross is the position of our runner. Then we simply adjust X or adjust Y to move the runner. So I did some research and came across what is known as a shift register in the technical redstone community. A normal register stores information, so a shift register moves the information in the direction of the register. This function is useful in math and coding applications, but in our case we will only have to move 1 bit at any time. Here I have 2 registers in opposite directions, but we need to combine this into one circuit so our single bit can move in 2 directions. Before figuring out exactly how a 2-way shift register works, I wanted to wrap my mind around how the output matrix will work. So I started experimenting with that redstone. The signal lines here are too close to do anything with, so I spaced them based on a 4x4 block grid to match the 4x4 block display cells. With the newfound space, we can easily fit an AND gate here that controls a copper bulb. Now, wherever the 2 lines are active, it turns on a copper bulb. So all we have to do is read the state of the copper bulb to control the runner in the display cell redstone. Back to a bidirectional shift register, I experimented with hoppers again before returning to minecarts, because I know how to move minecarts in 2 directions. The hard part is getting the minecart to stop and go when we want it. For that, I'm going to use a minecart station with shifting rails. Each line reads a detector rail, and when activated, an unpowered rail is slipped over and becomes powered by the rail in front of it to send the minecart. To send the minecart in the opposite direction, we simply have to activate the rail switches at the same time that the minecart is traveling. With the bidirectional shift registers and output matrix redstone figured out, we can expand this concept to a 32 by 32 output grid. I am throwing in a temporary control panel to test this redstone.
Hey guys, Posterboy really outdid himself with the redstone on the 4-way shift register. If you made it this far in the video, can you show your support and hit that like button?
Now we need to add a sticky piston with soul sand to each output as a controller to activate the bubble columns. Then move this whole circuit into place. Underneath the display cells, we even have 2 blocks of space to spare. With that done, we can mark the Maze Runner section of our redstone flow as complete. Now we're going to figure out wall detection. Firstly, I built this semi-permanent input board with the map facing the same direction as the machine, and did a little bit of cleanup by removing the bubble column controllers that would connect to the black sections of the map. This is a good point to start on the reset function, which in this case powers both shift registers to return the minecarts all the way to the corner, which is the starting position. Now we really need to figure out wall detection. My solution is to generate a signal whenever the runner hits a wall, and then use that signal to trigger the opposite direction. For example, if the runner runs south into a wall, then the machine will automatically generate a signal and use that signal to move the runner north again out of the wall section. On the permanent walls, we can simply grab the signal to power our yellow reverse circuit. Where the display cells can be a wall or a floor, we use another AND gate to detect if the runner and the wall are in the same cell. If that is true, then it triggers the yellow reverse line. Sorry about the camera work, it's a cramped space, but we can grab the wall signal here and the runner signal here. If they're both activated, it triggers this torch to power a pulse generator connected to the yellow line. The input logic needs to be redesigned to fit the reverse last action redstone. First, I spaced it out to get more room to work with. This now works by pushing up a block on the yellow circuit every time a direction is selected. That block is the gate that powers the redstone of the opposite direction if and when the yellow circuit is activated. The top set of pistons resets all the blocks before one is selected. This is essentially a group of 4 set reset latches that work in parallel. The yellow line needs to be 10 ticks long for the shift register to work, so I added this crude extender. Then the observers are triggering the droppers when activating and deactivating the AND gates. So I added a comparator cooldown timer that cuts off the second yellow signal. With that figured out, we can mark off the next section of our redstone flow, wall detection, as complete. The last bug I ran into is if the minecart is too far out on the rail line, then it cannot get enough momentum to make it back to the beginning during the reset. I simply added a powered rail to each section to boost the minecart on the return. Next is to add the reset and new maze buttons to the inputs. The new maze button is easy enough. We just need to run a signal line from here all the way to the back and around the corner to the maze generator input. Now we can change the map from the control board. That fills in this line on the redstone flow. Let's mark the inputs as complete and finish the reset function. If we make another AND gate between the 2 starting stations, we can know when both minecarts have returned and use that signal to stop the reset function. Then we can use another set reset or SR latch, where the button in the control room starts the reset redstone and the AND gate stops the reset redstone, giving us an automated reset function. I didn't like how it ran over the top, so I rerouted the redstone line around the side. With that last modification, we complete the entire redstone flow and also the Maze Runner Mapart machine. Lastly, I wanted something to happen when you make it to the end of the maze, so I ran a redstone wire from the winning cell to a fireworks dispenser in front of the control panel. Now, when you reach the end, some fireworks pop off. So, what else can I say except, let's play! We did it! We made a Maze Runner game in Minecraft using Mapart. It's been a learning experience getting here, but in my opinion, that's part of the fun. My philosophy is, be a little better than yesterday with some silliness along the way. And I think this project definitely had its share of both. Speaking of learning experience, something new I learned on this project was making shift registers, which I never attempted to make before. Better yet, I made an original design and I was able to make a two-way shift register, which evolved into a four-way shift register. I absolutely love how this circuit turned out, and I am sure I will be using this or versions of it in many future projects. Another new redstone idea for me is using copper bulbs. People use these as T flip-flops or toggleable flip-flop in memory circuits, or to turn buttons into switches for on and off. I've tried using them before in other machines, but ultimately removed them. When I understood that they can turn an observer pulse into a permanent signal, I knew how to use them. And they were so helpful in this project. For example, they were used to communicate the red signals downwards through a wall update, which is another circuit I have never used or tinkered with before, but it proved an effective and efficient solution in this project. One caveat I forgot to mention is for the map display to update, there needs to be someone standing here holding a copy of the map. Thanks, Steve. So, how did I do with this redstone build? Rate me in the comments from 1 to 15 on the power of my redstone skills. Join the Discord to share your map art and redstone ideas with other creators. What do you want to see next? Leave your idea in the comments. Okay, I'll see you in the next video, where we will discover what's in box number 8.